Hey guys, it's Adam Lambert here, and thank you so much for submitting your questions for the Ask Me Anything chat. And a special thanks to Romeo and Saturday Night Online for having me. First question is from Rama from Bucharest, and the question is, how did you balance touring with Queen and recording your new album? And actually, I went out to Sweden for 2 months and started working on that album before I did the tour with Queen. So I worked for 2 months, got a bunch of ideas started, and then went on tour of North America first. And then after that portion of the tour, I had a break for about a month, and I worked in Los Angeles, where I live, on the album. And then I went out on the second part of the tour, which was in Asia and Down Under. And after that portion of the tour, I went and I worked for another month in LA. So it actually worked out really perfectly. And it was nice to stay busy all year. Denise from Avon says, do you think you have found what you are currently longing for with your new music? Does it feed your soul? I think that the themes in this album are definitely very much a reflection of me asking the questions of what I'm looking for and what make me happy. I love the songs. I think that they're really, really catchy and really. I love the production of the album. I'm really proud of it. It does feed my soul, and I think performing the songs live is even a stronger connection to all of you out there. So I can't wait to do more of that this year. Brittany from Canaan says, does the fame ever bother you? Do you wish sometimes that you could just go somewhere and not have to worry about being recognized by others? It doesn't bother me at all. There are moments where I go, wouldn't it be nice if I could just kind of be anonymous? But I have plenty of moments where people don't know who the heck I am at all. So it's fine. And when a fan comes up to me and says, hey, it's usually really sweet and it's coming from a good place. So I'm not bothered. Sharon from Aberdeen says, where do you usually write your music? I usually write down ideas in my notebook on my phone after thinking about stuff for a while. And then when I work on music with other writers, I'll write stuff down on my iPad as we're going. And Annalise from Ohio says, what is your favorite song in this album and what is the overall theme? Annalise, I can't pick a favorite, actually. They're all my favorite. That's why they're on the album. But the overall theme is definitely this idea of a search for happiness, like a hunt or a longing for it. We all have things that we want out of life, and part of figuring that out is what this album's about, is that journey of trying different things and having certain things that you want turn out to be not what you wanted in the first place, or once you get them, maybe they turn on you, or maybe they betray you, or maybe they leave, or maybe the thing that you wanted turns out to be not so good for you in the first place. And then there's the idea that maybe you get what you want and it makes you the happiest person in the world. So all the songs on the album kind of go back to that in general. Denise from Avon says, do you experience the same rush every time you walk onto the stage? No, it's different. Sometimes if it's like a live TV performance, and I know there's lots of people watching, I get more nervous. When it's a group of my fans, I don't usually get nervous. I feel more like at home and safe. Being on stage with Queen in the very beginning was a bit nerve-wracking because I thought, well, I hope that the Queen fans, who aren't necessarily my fans yet, I hope they like me. I hope that they're okay with what I'm doing. So yeah, it's always different. Pearl from Rockwell says, which song from the original High took the longest to write and record? The longest to write and record. Well, the one that was kind of around the longest was, I think Evil in the Night went through a bunch of different revisions, because that one was started very early and it kind of sounded like one thing for a little while and then changed and changed. And also Ghost Town had an interesting journey because it sounded very different when we first recorded it to where it is now. Yeah. Kathy from Falston says, do you enjoy breakfast in bed? I can't actually remember the last time I had breakfast in bed. I've had coffee in bed. I like the idea of breakfast in bed. Antonio from Ontario says, "What gave you the idea for Ghost Town?" Um, you know, in this whole theme of the album being kind of this pursuit of happiness, and trying to figure out what it is that you want out of life, Ghost Town is like this perfect first song because it kind of starts the album out in a place where I'm saying, okay, I'm a little bit lost, I'm a little bit empty inside. Um, I'm questioning what I want in the first place, and that's where we're starting this collection of songs. So it definitely was inspired by me and my experience in LA. Um, I wrote it from my perspective, but also I wrote it by watching my friends go through tough times in Los Angeles. People maybe not reaching their full potential or chasing a dream that never quite comes true or getting their heart broken. It's about all that stuff. Judy from Mendota Heights. Mendota. What brings the most meaning to your life? I mean, I definitely think performing is really like a calling for me. It's something that I've always loved since I was a kid, since I first tried it. It's my original high. And it kind of feels like the most right thing in my life. When I get up on stage and I sing a song and I sing it well, which isn't always, but when I feel like I've nailed it, that feels right. Joyce from Wit says, "What does your diet look like since you don't eat dairy or gluten? You look amazing." Oh, thank you. I mean, Joyce, to be honest with you, sometimes I fall off the wagon. Sometimes I eat a piece of bread. Sometimes I have some ice cream or a little half and half in my coffee or some cheese. So it definitely happens from time to time. But I try. I try to stay away from that stuff just for health. I don't have a gluten allergy, I don't think necessarily. I just am trying to stay away from it because it's, your system digests easier without it, I guess. Ashley from Canton says, "In what ways would you say this album challenged you creatively?" Well, I think that, I was working with a lot of different writers and producers. And I think for me, I made the conscious decision to relinquish a little more control than I usually do on this project because I wanted to be, I wanted a little more leadership. On the last album, I provided a lot of my own leadership, and it was a really good learning experience. But on this one, I knew that if I could get to work with Max and Shellback, that I'd want them to kind of steer a little bit more, and me be kind of a co-pilot. So creatively, I chilled out a little bit and let the leadership kind of be there from them because I trust and respect them so much. Also, I tried kind of new sounds. These are songs that sonically are living in a place of the music that I listen to leisurely on my own time, and I was kind of experimenting with how do I get my voice and my sensibilities musically into some of these other sonic ideas. And there was a lot of trial and error. There were a lot of songs that didn't make it because they didn't feel right, but these are the ones that felt like they were the perfect blend of the me that I know, that you guys all know, and something new and something fresh. Where's my question? Doris from Fresno says, in a recent interview, you said when a person is feeling lonely, they should find something that makes them happy. When you are feeling lonely, what makes you happy? Um, work does bring me a certain amount of happiness, and by work I mean like my music stuff, touring, being on stage, conceptualizing creative parts of it, meeting you guys. This definitely makes me happy. In my off time, I like going out with friends. I like going to dinners. I like going out sometimes to clubs, but not as much as I used to. I like shopping. I like when I'm home in LA. I love hiking. Runyon Canyon is where I go hiking. It's like a great outdoor hiking spot, and it's usually sunny in LA. We're very lucky, and I like the fresh air and the sunshine. Barbara from Singapore says, "I love Ghost Town as your first single. How did you decide which tracks are going to be released as singles?" There's a lot of different things that go into that decision. With Ghost Town being the first single, I just knew I wanted to come out with something that was different. I didn't want to do anything too obvious for the first single. Obvious can be good sometimes with singles because you want people to just love it without questioning it. But I think for a first single for this project, I definitely needed something that would get people's attention and make people stop and go, huh, what's that? And I felt like Ghost Town has this two different sides to it. So it's something fresh, putting this folky kind of vocal in with 90s house beat. I thought it was something new. And as far as the other singles go, I think I'll look to see which ones you guys like. I'll decide based on what I really want to get out there and be promoting and what I want to make a video for and um, what I think that the radio will like. A lot of different things. Nala from Persia says, "How did your collaboration with Tovlo come about?" And that collaboration came out in Stockholm. I was there working on music with those guys I told you about for 2 months, and she was one of the first people I met out there. She's part of a group called the Wolf Cousins, and that's what they call themselves out there. And we started talking, and she was really cool, and she was so down to earth. And I heard her song Habits, which hadn't become a big hit yet, but was around, and I loved it. I thought it was a really, really cool song, and we just got along. And so we started talking about being in the business and also trying to maintain a personal life and how to kind of balance the two. Audrey from Indianapolis says, "You use the element of fire often in the original High. What does fire as a symbol mean to you?" Good question. I think fire is like kind of a symbol or metaphor of action or impulse. Fire is kind of life, I think. I get kind of nerdy with my astrology, and my moon sign is actually Aries, which is a fire sign. And the moon sign is said to be the sign that's kind of your impulsive, instinctual self, primal. And I I find myself in certain moments being reactionary and kind of impulsive, and it's a fiery part of me. So I like fire as an element. Amy from East Alton says, referring to the song titled There I Said It, do you struggle with the lack of filter in relationships? Um, I do have a lack of filter, but when you ask relationships, I don't. My personal take on that song isn't that it's necessarily about like a romantic relationship. To me, that's the kind of relationship that I have with the world, particularly with the public. Um, there I Said It is kind of this anthem about not making apologies for who I am, speaking my mind, having an opinion, and um, kind of feeling confident in the sense that I know what I'm talking about. Um, and it's to me with the public, it's to me the outside world. I don't think that that's really a message to a lover. It's more of a message to relating to society. So there. So there. Anastasia from Moscow says, "Do you want to get any more tattoos? If so, do you have any ideas already?" Well, I've filled up most of this arm. I still might do a couple different things in there. And then this one is sort of new, this kind of mosaic thing. I might continue something on this underside. I might, I have this guy, this is new, chasing the original high, it says. I might continue something around here, like with this thing, or something along this. There's some shoulder moment. Maybe I'll go into my back. Um, yeah, I love tattoos. I think they're really cool. Wearable art. Linda from Brookfield says, "How often do you read tweets from Lamberts, and what do your fans mean to you?" Well, Linda, you guys are really you're the wind beneath my wings. You guys are the reason why this is all still happening. If I didn't have fans, who would I be making this music for, and who would I be performing for? And of course, the thing that I always say is that I love seeing the fans that I've had since the beginning. You guys mean a lot to me. You're so loyal and so incredible. And my kind of philosophy on things is that I always like making new friends as well. So, I think there's room for anybody in this, this fan community, and I like welcoming anybody with open arms. Olivia from Cambria says, "Who are your favorite artists out at this moment?" There's a new artist named Shamir that I think is really cool. He's got a song called Vegas that I think is just super sexy and funky. Um, Years and Years is a band from the UK that I think is really cool. Um, I love The Weeknd's new stuff. His sound is really evolving, and it's the songs that he's put out over the past couple weeks are incredible. There's a song called "Can't Feel My Face" that's like such a jam. So yeah. Hillary from Linton says, "Do you like performing in smaller venues or big arenas better?" You know, once you've done big arenas with a band like Queen, it's pretty addictive having that many people in front of you. And there's something about the way that a big room like that sounds that's really good. I like having lots of like echo in a room. But having a small venue can be really cool too because you feel a stronger, like a closer connection with the people in the room. So I think they're just different. Grant from Edmonton says, "How did you feel when you first listened to your entire album in full?" You know, it's funny. I pre-ordered my own album, even though I had all the tracks. I just wanted to have the experience, kind of like all you guys get, of getting the tracks from iTunes the day of release. And although I think they probably sound pretty much the same as the files I had, I kind of wanted to listen to them downloaded from iTunes in my library. And it was great. It was a good feeling. And I've been with this music now for a while, so I know it backwards and forwards. And God, it felt good. It's a sense of accomplishment. It's a sense of relief that it's finally out, that you guys are loving it. That really makes me feel good. And that it's time. It's just the beginning to get this thing moving. How often do you take selfies? Michelle from Newark asks. Not as much as some people. You know, like on my Instagram, I actually end up pulling a lot of shots off people's, people tweet me things, and they put stuff on Instagram, my fans, you guys. So a lot of times, a lot of the stuff that I repost is just photos that I grab. And I know I should probably give you guys more credit, I guess, sometimes, but the pictures are of me, so I figure it's okay, right? I always try to post, if I post art from somebody, I try to give you guys credit. Every once in a while I forget, and I apologize, but I love the original art. That's really cool. Heather from Cornell. Do you remember what was the first line you wrote for Ghost Town? If yes, what was it? I don't know, Heather. I don't remember that one. It was a while ago. We all sat in a room together and worked on it. Jennifer from Vancouver says, "You've talked about wanting a dog if you were home more. What kind would you get?" I actually haven't gone into researching exactly what kind I would get. I think it would be like a medium-sized dog, and I always pictured the dog being kind of like a cinnamon brown color, like a real warm, rusty brown, sort of a ginger, and it being being like a little more lean and shorter haired, and kind of looks sort of like a deer, I think, if that makes any sense, like a pretty little fawn type dog. Lisa from Pleasantville says, "What is Adam's perfect date night like?" Well, Lisa, I haven't been out on a proper date in a while, to be honest with you. I'm very busy. I mean, I always love going to dinner with somebody because I think you can sit down and you can talk and connect and look each other right in the eyes across from each other at the table. And an adult beverage in that moment really helps with the date a little bit. Yeah, and then maybe go for like a walk somewhere or go look at something like a gallery or something. I mean, this is all very ideal. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been on a date where we go to an art gallery, but that sounds romantic. Anything to kind of prompt conversation and get to know the person better and understand how many similarities we have and what we can share in common. Joe from Kuma says, "What one question would you ask Freddie Mercury if you had the chance?" I think I would ask him, "Can I borrow that?" I think I would try on some of his jackets that he wore back in the day. He had good taste in jackets. Kylie from Coventry says, "What inspired you to create the music video for Ghost Town and how long did it take to record? It's amazing." Thanks, Kylie. It was 2 nights in Burbank, and I talked to Hype Williams, the director, about what we wanted to do, and it was basically kind of going back to like the 90s, kind of very simple, straight up sort of fashion video. And he wanted a performance driven. And I wanted to kind of establish the idea of like an abandoned, like outdoor ghost town thing. So we had those shots at the beginning. And then it kind of goes to the club. And I invited a bunch of dancers and performers that I know to be a part of the team on that. I had some friends help cast it with me, and I brought some stylists in, and makeup artist and hair, all friends of mine, and dancers and models, and we hung out and had a good time, and made some margaritas and ate some chips, and socialized in the back, and then each person kind of went up one by one to do their shots, and we all watched and cheered them on. And so it was kind of like a party. It was really fun. It was the most relaxed shoot I've ever done in my entire life. And then I got to even be a part of the editing a bit, which was which was something that I hadn't really gotten that involved in the past. So that was exciting. And I have time for one more question. Oh, that was it. That was the last question. How perfect timing. Thanks again for sending me your questions, you guys. And Romeo, thank you. Saturday Night Online, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I'm signing out. Check out the original High. It's out now. I love you guys. Thank you.